Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this elegant SuperDuo ring, and this is what mine looks like here with these materials. So you can see you have this really nice effect of the SuperDuos in that pattern, and then along the edge we have that beautiful sparkle of the bicones. I've used Swarovski ones for this. It sits something like this on. It's nice and comfortable to wear as well, and it's continuous all the way around. And this is then the ring that I'm going to show you how to do. I based this off of a bracelet that I did. I thought it would work nice as a ring as well, and that's this one here. So this is the bracelet version. You can see they go nicely together, so you can make a set, but it's the same technique here. I just made it into a continuous ring. So if you want to learn how to make the ring in this version though, then stay tuned. So these are the materials that I'm going to be using. First of all, here I have my SuperDuos. This specific colour is Crown Blue Metallist Finish, and these are going to kind of be the main part. And then I have my seed beads here. These are 11 Omiyuki seed beads. This colour is Galvanized Blush. Thought they would go nicely with the blue colour there. And then finally, as the bit embellishment, we have Swarovski 2.5mm bicones, and this is a crystal AB, just to add a little bit of bling. And then to be able to make the piece with all my beads there, I'm using my beading needles alongside my fire line. So that's just the threading material that I'm going to be using. So let's get it all together and let's get started. So then the first thing we need to do is get a thread ready, and what I have here is about an arm span of my fire line, and I then put a needle on either end of it and put a tail through the needle and make sure the tail is about even, like that. And then we have this ready now to start making the piece and putting our beads together. So first of all, I'm going to get my SuperDuos ready and my 11Os as well, because that's what we're going to start out with, and we're not going to add the bicones until after we've made the initial step. So what I'm going to do is we need to use both needles here, and we need to make the center line first, you could say, of the piece. So I'm going to take one SuperDuo, then I'm going to put one needle through each hole in the same direction, like that, and then bring this all the way down so this ends up in about the middle of the thread. Again, so we have roughly even lengths on both sides, because we don't want to run out of one side before the other one ideally. And then separate your threads again. And now we're getting to the proper pattern. So I'm going to add one of my seed beads, one SuperDuo, and one seed bead on one needle. Let that drop down. Then I'm going to do the same on the other needle. So one seed bead, one SuperDuo, and then one seed bead. And also let that drop down. And then I'm going to put my needles together again, grab one SuperDuo, and put both needles in either hole, or one needle in either hole rather, in the same direction, and then get this all the way down to the midpoint again. So you then have what looks like that. So you can see we always have a little square there. And this is basically the pattern, so we're going to keep going like this. Separate your needles out again, add a seed bead, a SuperDuo, and a seed bead. Let it drop down. Same on the other side. Seed bead, SuperDuo, and then seed bead. Bring your needles together. And then add one SuperDuo on both of them. One needle in either hole of it. And then bring that down to sit something like that. And you just keep building the pattern like this, and this is going to be the center row. So obviously you then need to get the right length. So here I then finished that center row that we made. So what we just want to make sure to do is finish on the right beads. So we need to finish with the beads we add on either thread there. So the SuperDuo is going out to the side and the seed beads on either side of that, because what we would normally do then is bring that together with the SuperDuo in the middle. But what we need to do is obviously make this a continuous piece. So that SuperDuo, to bring them together, is actually going to be the very first one when we do connect them. So obviously you just want to make sure of the size is at this point here. So what you can do is put your needles through down here, because this is how we're going to connect it. So I'm going to connect the end, open end up here, to the end down here, and just bring my needle through. Make sure the one coming from the right side is also going through the right side of the SuperDuo down there. And bring that all the way through. And then the same with the left one, bring that down. And then go through the SuperDuo on the left side in the left hole there. And then bring that out. And then you'll be able to pull these threads, and this will then tighten up your piece. Just get my threads out of the way. And bring the two ends together. And this is also where you can try it out. So make sure to kind of pull your thread completely through. Let's get a little tangle there. There we go. And then hold it tight like that. Obviously we have all the loose beads, we'll just try and ignore them. And then you can try and put this on. If you're just making it for yourself, try and put it on your finger and see if it fits. Obviously making sure that these loose beads aren't in the way. If it fits, then that's fine. Obviously you can also use a ring mandrel to size it, but if it doesn't fit, what we just want to make sure to do is, the way you can really adjust the size is you have to take off a few beads if you want to make it smaller. So what you just need to make sure is to basically take off a section like this. So the two beads with the SuperDuos on the side and then the one in the middle, that's basically a section, because we need to get to the next one where it's the SuperDuos on the side. Or if you need to make it larger, it's the same principle, because we need to make sure we have that connection point there. But then once we have it connected and gone through the bead, I know this is the right size that I want it to be, then we need to move on and obviously make this a bit more substantial. So then once you got the size right here, and you're happy with that, then I've gone through these beads, that SuperDuo, so I've connected the two ends. Then what we need to do is, I want to go a little bit past that, because the connection point is right there, so it's obviously going to be a bit loose and fiddly. It will be until we get the edges done, but I just want to take my needles and pass them a little bit further on. So just go through your beads, following the path on the same side here. It's just going to make it a little bit easier to work with. And I also find kind of holding it on my finger like this helps a bit, because obviously that's kind of the shape that it's supposed to have. So go through. And where I basically want to end up, when I feel like I've gone through a few here, and it's enough to help hold it a little bit more secure, I want to get to a point where my threads are coming out right above SuperDuos, but ones that are going out to the side. So like these two here, but above them. And what I just want to do is get my two threads together once I get to that point and just pull this tight to make sure that this isn't loose in any way, because then we need to switch direction now. So I'm going to take one thread and needle at a time, and we're coming out above that SuperDuo in the inner hole that we've already gone through. Then I need to go to the outer hole, so basically change direction with the thread and needle. So the thread on the right side, I'm sticking on the right side of the piece, gone through like that, and then the same with the needle on the other side, go through the SuperDuo in the opposite direction but in the outer hole that hasn't been used yet, and pull your thread through. So just like that. And then that now means we're in position for the next row. So I'm going to just swap this around. It makes it a little bit easier to work in that direction, whatever you feel comfortable with. And then again, I'm still holding this. I'm going to hold on to one of my threads here. It's going to help hold the whole thing in place. And then we need to start adding in the outer rows and obviously start getting these kind of SuperDuos under control. So I'm going to have some more of my seed beads now. We're done using the SuperDuos, but then I'm also now going to add in my bicones as well for that extra bling to the piece. And what we're going to do is start on one side. So I'm just starting on my outer one here, my right one. It's coming out from that SuperDuo in the outer hole. I'm going to add one seed bead, one of my bicones, and then one seed bead again. So the bicone is in the middle of the seed beads, and then we're going to go from that SuperDuo, jump to the next one in the outer hole, so the very next one that's sticking out to the side. My thread just got caught there in the other ones, and pull that, and then that connects those two outer SuperDuos together. Then move on. From here we then add another seed bead, and then a bicone, and another seed bead, and then jump to the next one after that. And basically this is the outer row. You do that all the way around, but obviously you want to also make sure to do that on the other side. So you can jump from side to side a bit, do a few beads and jump to the other side and do them, or you could do one side all the way around and then do the other side. That's completely up to you and personal preference. But just to show you, it's the same thing. So jump from the SuperDuo that you're coming out from, the outer hole, to the very next one. And that then connects those two together. So you can see this is then the effect that it's going to give and create that really nice outer edge. So just keep going like this until you've done that all the way around on the edge on both sides. So I then reached all the way back around to the beginning again. So on both sides there, the first one I've already attached, and then just to show you the last one here, I've already added the beads on it. Then I'm going to go through that last SuperDuo, but then what we might as well do is go through a few more beads, because this is going to connect it, but we then also just obviously need to continue and make the piece stronger and more robust. So I'm really just going to go through some more beads after that SuperDuo that we reached. Just a few. You can just follow your thread path that you've already done. So I'm going through here, and then as I'm pulling this, that little last set of beads is going to fall in there and slot in there just perfectly. And then you obviously want to just pull this tight and make sure that both sides are pulled tight. On this side I also just want to go through a few more beads, because really what there's left to do now is make it a little bit stronger here, but also in the process of finishing off the piece, so finishing off the thread. So go through to the same place. So it's pretty even there, and then I just want to take both my threads here in the same direction and hold on to my piece, and I hold on to the beads right around where my threads are coming out, and I just want to give it a little tug just to make sure it tightens it up nicely. And then what there's left to do now is securing the thread in place. So I'm just going to take one at a time and work with and show you how I do that. And basically we need to tie some knots. So right now I'm coming out between a seed bead and a SuperDuo. So what I'm going to do is tie a knot here, the first one. So I'm going to come underneath and then up through this little gap here in the pattern where my thread is coming out from. So like that. Bring your thread through, but not all the way. I've left a little loop here. And then hold on to that, and I'm going to go through that twice with my needle. So through it once and then once more. I prefer to do it twice, I feel it's a bit stronger. And then we need to just get this thread in the right place, so make sure it's coming out where your thread is actually coming out from. So between those two beads that your thread is coming out from anyway. And then we need to pull this tight. This is then the knot that we pull all the way down. And that's the very first one. And then I take my needle there, the same one, and just keep going through. So go through the SuperDuo and then another few beads. And then as I pull this, that's going to pull the knot into the SuperDuo in this case. That's where I made the knot in front of. You can also make it in front of the seed beads if you prefer that. And here we then just want to make another one. So I'm just going to keep doing this, make a knot here, tighten it down, go through another few beads to the next place. And that's basically all I'm going to do. And obviously, that's on one side. We want to do the exact same thing on the other side here. So make my first knot there, go through beads, and then basically just keep doing this, obviously one side at a time, and just using up your thread really, or until you've kind of gone all the way around, just to make it as strong and secure as possible. So now I made my way all the way around the edges there, and then because I just want to get it a little bit more robust than this, because it's still quite loose, obviously it holds, but I still want to get a little bit more substantial. So what I'm going to do is also move into the middle and do the same thing, so tie knots around the middle row. So I've ended up on the side here. I'm coming from this direction and then moving that way, and I'm coming out from a SuperDuo on the outer edge. Then what I want to do to change direction and go into the middle, I'm going to go from the outer hole in that SuperDuo to the inner hole in the same one. So basically go like that, and then also through a seed bead or so, get my thread with me. And then pull that through. So you're going to have a little bit of thread basically running on the edge of the SuperDuo. And obviously the same with the other side. But then all you want to do is start making some knots in here. So here you just obviously want to do it in the gaps in the pattern because we don't have an outer edge. So I'm just going to go down through the hole on the edge there and then up through the hole in the pattern in the middle. Making sure it's the hole where my thread is coming out from, the bead. And then just grab onto that loop. So it's the exact same knot that we're going to be tying. Just get my thread in place like that. Again, holding the piece on your finger there really helps controlling it, and then going through it twice and then making sure it comes, your thread down and sits in between those beads where the thread is actually coming out from, and then pull the knot down and then keep going to the next place you want to make a knot. So just doing this makes it a little bit more robust and substantial, and obviously a bit more of a whole piece instead of too loose. But otherwise the piece is pretty much done, so just do this until you feel you're happy with it, and then once you made your last knot, then just go through a few more beads after the last knot and cut off your thread. Always do that, going through a few beads rather than cutting the thread off by the knot, because then that knot is just going to come undone. But then just keep doing this, do the same with the other thread, and then once you're happy with that, you've done all your knots, gotten rid of your threads, then you have your finished ring. So here's then the finished ring, and it looks like that. So you can see you get a really nice effect of the SuperDuos in that pattern, and then connected by the seed beads, and on the edge we have that lovely sparkle in the bicones that really adds some bling to it. So it looks like that. So it's pretty simple and easy one to do and make it a connecting continuous ring there. So I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you very much for watching.